Gracias por su tiempo y por su disposición a participar en el programa. Los estudios muestran que la gente viaje no solo para relajarse, sino para convertirse en otra persona por unos días. ¿Qué identidad ofrece España?
Здраво, Ели, благодарам за поканата на ваша емисија. Се надевам дека скоро ќе можам да говорам на македонски јазик подобро. Сега ќе продолжам на англиски. Thank you very much, Ellie, for your invitation. As I said, it is a pleasure to welcome you at the Spanish residence. I must begin by congratulating you.
Thank you for having
because
us.
you have a great Spanish language. Es un español muy bueno el que tienes y me alegra mucho porque muestra la importancia del idioma español en tu país y precisamente la promoción del español es una de las prioridades de la embajada. But coming back to your question, when you spoke about identity, let me share with your viewers some basic information about tourism. Spain, you know it, it's a touristic destination, an international touristic destination.
You're number 2 on
We are
the
number
world.
2. Last year, as you know, we welcome roughly 95 million international travelers, second in the world. And these international travelers, they generated roughly around 13% of the Spanish GDP. So they have a huge economic impact in the Spanish economy. And they, the touristic sector, they generate close to 3 million jobs, which amounts to 13.5, almost 14% of the employment in my country. So the touristic sector is something that has been constantly along the years a driver of welfare in my country. So I guess the first question to try to answer is what has made tourism so successful in my country. And then as you know, we have some gifts, some given let's say elements. I will refer to the weather, the nature, the cultural heritage, but this is not enough to make Spain such a successful destination. It is also the sustained commitment by the public administration and by the private sector to make tourism such a key element in the Spanish economy. So you said that at the beginning, that the people, when they travel, they want to relax.
They want to be someone else. They want to find themselves in the local culture, in another environment,
Sure.
maybe discover another side of their personality, of who they are, what makes them happy.
Of course, and when you make the choice to visit another country, you do it because you feel attracted by a certain narrative. And this narrative, since the beginning in my country, has been this sun and beach destination, which is still valid, of course. And this is the reason for this mass tourism that we enjoy in my country.
One of the things that I wanted to talk to you about is about this perception. The perception means value. And when we think about Spain, and when we think about going to Spain and spending money and paying for a coffee or having a lunch or going to the museum, everything is acceptable because we have this image in our head that we have to do it. And plus, it's Spain.
Of course.
But if you say to a Spanish person, come to Macedonia and the prices are the same, what do you think their options and their opinion would be? Can we sell the story of Macedonia like you have the storytelling around Spain?
Of course. And
what can we learn from you?
Well, you rightly said that when you make a choice to travel to another country is because previously someone has told your story or you have read or watched a program on that program. And you've heard about La Sagrada Familia, as you mentioned, in Barcelona, or the Museum of El Prado in Madrid, or the Royal Palace. And it's a crowded place, of course, but so this is why I always advise my friends to book in advance if they want to visit these places. No? So we have built a narrative, and we have sold that produce abroad. Well, maybe the right word would be we have made an exercise of seduction. No? Come to our country, have a life-changing experience, treasure these souvenirs, and come back again. Because the real secret of the success of Spanish tourism is not just the volume, is the number of people that visit my country and then they come back next year and the following year and the following year. So out of these 95 million international travelers, 74% they have already visited my country previously at least once. This is a huge
and they wanted to
success.
Come back.
We have to build on this identity and find destinations which are adapted to the profile of the different travelers. And this is something that they are doing in Spain.
I haven't heard of anyone who dislikes Spain. But can we say the same with the Spanish citizens? Because you have 95 million tourists coming each year to Spain, and yet we see protests in Barcelona. So where is this tipping point in which the economic benefits start influencing the quality of life of the people who are living and who are citizens of Spain?
Thank you very much, Ellie. That's a very good question. And it has to do with one of the challenges that the sector has to face in today's Spain. And then let me go back again to data. And it seems that around 65% of local residents in places of high demand destination, they are very satisfied with the impact of tourism in their areas where they live. But there is a percentage, around 15% of local residents, who consider that there's a negative impact of tourism in the areas where they live. And we're taking this very seriously. What are the problems that we are facing? No? On one hand, we have house pressure. You see that because of the existence of these short-term rentals, especially via these e-platforms, then the consequence of this is that a lot of local people are being pushed away from the areas where they live, and this also makes prices go higher. Also, we have saturation of certain public spaces and certain public destinations. You see that on TV, not to mention the importance of the environmental impact of these crowded places, a sort of invasion of tourists. So again, because the touristic sector is so successful, and it's not something of the past, it's something of the present, and it's something we want to preserve for the future as a driver of welfare of my country, we have to address this question. And then the
find the balance.
Of course, and this is the reason why the Spanish government, together with the private sector, we are developing a Spain Tourism Strategy 2030 that addresses some of these concerns, that wants to diversify the offer, work on the off-season destinations, raise awareness about the importance of being gentle with the environment, in a nutshell, to prepare Spain for what is going to be the challenges of tourism for the next 50 years.
What's happening to the Spanish citizens when 95 million people come to your country? Where do you go for a vacation?
Well, we of course, first of all, are very satisfied and very happy because a lot of people in my country make their living because of the arrival of these tourists. But when it comes to our vacation, we like to travel to multiple destinations in our country. When we go to the seashore, or we go to the islands, the Balearic Islands or the Canary Islands, of course, we share the space and the fun and the vacation with hundreds of thousands of tourists from all over the world. We also travel to some less known destinations for the international traveler, especially inland, and especially in some regions of the country which are not of high demand for the time being. I'm speaking about the north of the country, the northwest of the country, where the temperature is cooler and where you don't have this sun and beach destination as the primary target. And of course, I hope that in the years to come, more and more Spanish tourists will be coming to your country.
Mr. Ambassador, you're from Barcelona, right?
I am.
Would you live now in the center of Barcelona or in the center of Madrid if your job requires, or would you find and try to find or escape to a secluded place that not many tourists know about?
Definitely yes. It's not just a question whether I will do it or not, because I'm actually doing it. No, first because my hometown is Barcelona, so I have lived my whole life in Barcelona till the moment I joined the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So I was living downtown in a very crowded neighborhood, and I was very happy with my family and friends, school, university. Then when I joined the ministry, I moved to Madrid. It's another kind of city. So this is the city where I live with my family when I'm not, let's say, abroad, when I come back and I work for the ministry. These two cities are two different cities, cosmopolitan cities, both of them, but with different attractions for the international traveler. So I'm extremely happy that last year, 2025, was the year where we definitely connected the dots, and when we already, as I said before, we resumed these operations with Barcelona and we launched this historical connection with Madrid.
You mentioned previously that Spain is now moving basically from volume to value. How is it possible for a country that is known for a mass tourism, because 95 million is nothing more than mass tourism, to have another story that would be, let's say, if we speak about value, more luxurious, we would say, without losing the identity of what makes Spain being such a desirable destination for people around the world?
Well, that's also a very good question, and I agree. Now that we have a huge volume of visitors in the country, we have to put the emphasis on the quality, on the value. I always think that when something works and it is successful, to keep it that way, you need to constantly review the strategies and update this situation up to the challenges of the present and get ready for the future. And this is precisely what we are doing. We are witnessing the emergence of other markets, no, in the world that offer also very good sun and beach destinations, and which are huge competitors for the Spanish tourism. So we want to keep this profile of a country that welcomes people for this kind of relaxation, sun and beach, forget about the winter for a while, but at the same time we want to build on other narratives that will make our country, let's say, even more attractive. I will give you an example. If I ask you, or I asked a Macedonian person, no, what is the image or the images that come to your mind when you think about Spain? Probably you will mention, I don't know, this sun and beach destination. You will think about a sunny beach in Mallorca or in the Canary Islands or in Marbella. You will think about bullfights. You will think about flamenco music. You will think about paella and sangria. Maybe even you will think about going to one El Clásico, no? This famous match between Real Madrid and FC Barcelona. And all these images are correct. They are 100% Spanish, but they represent a stereotype. Stereotypes are not necessarily bad, but they represent only a small percentage of the reality. And this is why we are building a narrative that will offer other possible destinations for the international travelers, that will build on the fabulous cultural heritage of the country, that will build on the different profile of the traveler. It's not the same to have a couple for a getaway weekend than to have a family with kids, no, that want to have a 2 weeks break, no, in a resort and by the seacoast. It's not the same if you want to enjoy the gastronomy Because believe it or not, a lot of people are only traveling to Spain, or the main reason because they travel to Spain is because they want to enjoy the Spanish food. So according to the profile of the traveler, according to their pocket, we're building luxury options, very affordable options for all sort of people, and with all sort of, let's say, necessities. And this is, I think, the future of the tourism in my country. Here we have the Spanish embassy.
You have the embassy and the residency on the two best places probably in the city.
You're very right.
From the opinion of the local person. How do you feel about it?
We feel very lucky, and we feel that this up to the position of Spain to your country. And this year again is a very special year for us. In 2024, we celebrated 30 years since the establishment of diplomatic relations. At the time, we did not have an embassy in Skopje, so we were covering this country from Sofia. And in August 2006, we opened the embassy in Skopje. And since that opening, the embassy building has been this wonderful building which resisted the earthquake in 1963.
The old architecture.
Of course.
Yeah.
And so this year we are celebrating 20 years since the opening of the Spanish embassy. And the challenge again is these fruitful and excellent relationships between our two countries to make them even better.
And how do you feel as a foreigner, or do you start feeling as a local already? Your Macedonian is getting better, and the mentality is very similar.
Listen, I have one advantage, that before coming to your country, I knew Skopje already, because now my previous position was as ambassador to Côte d'Ivoire in Western Africa. So you can imagine the radical change, leaving behind the heart of Western Africa to come to the heart of the Balkans. But my advantage is that at the beginning of my career, I was actually posted in Sofia. At the time we were covering your country from Bulgaria, and I already had the chance to visit Skopje, to travel to Ohrid Lake. I remember at the time how impressed I was the first time I visited Heraklea in Bitola. So it was a very good memory of those visits, and I could not imagine at that time that many years later I would have the honor to be back in your country as the ambassador of my country.
Did we justify your expectations so far?
Of course, of course. This is a very important country for us. It's a European country, and all these bilateral relationships that we try to develop and enrich have to be understood in the context of the Macedonian aspirations to become member of the European Union where you belong. So this is one of the reasons why we try to raise the political dialogue, the economic profile of my country, including what has been the subject of our conversation since this morning, which is to make tourism one area of cooperation between North Macedonia and Spain.
What are your favorite places in Macedonia? Do you think that have a lot of capacity and potential for development of tourism?
Listen, we are now walking in one of the areas that I love the most in the city of Skopje. We're getting close to the stone bridge, which is an iconic monument.
Which is a story by itself.
Indeed. And then I usually every weekend cross that stone bridge to go to the old bazaar, an area that I also like and enjoy a lot. If not, I'm going to the Philharmonica or the Opera and Ballet, because you have also a fantastic cultural life in the country. And then outside of Skopje, you have natural wonders like the Matka Canyon or as you mentioned, the Ohrid Lake. But you need to preserve these destinations. These are natural wonders, and to make these attractive for the international traveler, you need to develop a narrative. You need to build better infrastructure, the roads, the transport network, the accommodation, the food and beverage sector, and as I said, during our conversation this morning about training and educating people to work as tourist guides. And this is where, again, the importance of learning Spanish is an asset. And I hope that in the years to come, more and more Macedonians will learn Spanish, not only for the pleasure of speaking Spanish and having access to the Spanish-speaking world, but also because that will open professional doors for them.
As I understand, the Spanish government would like to be involved in preserving the natural beauty of Ohrid and the surroundings. Am I mistaken?
No, you are very right. Actually, a couple of years ago, the Spanish government gave a grant to the Ministry of the Environment and Kolektorski system in Ohrid to conduct a feasibility study on the situation of the wastewater facilities in Lake Ohrid region. Lake Ohrid region, needless to say, for the Macedonian viewer, is one of the main attractions of your country, and because of this new air connectivity that the government is supporting, more and more tourists are discovering, including Spanish tourists, the Lake Ohrid, which is under UNESCO protection. But precisely because it has this protection, it needs to be protected. And one of the main challenges for the region is what to do with the wastewater management. So the feasibility study that the Spanish government financed has put on the table of the Macedonian government the possibility to build a new wastewater treatment plant in Ohrid, to renovate completely the wastewater treatment plant in Struga, and to install different collectors in the area that will help for the preservation.
What are the projections time-wise?
Well, the projects are in the pipeline of the Macedonian government, and now together with the Ministry of Environment, Kolektorski system in Ohrid, and of course, the Ministry of Finance, we are, let's say, negotiating the conditions that would make such a project possible in the country, which I hope will be the case.
What can we learn from you? We spoke before about the most important things that can drive more tourists and that can drive businesses into both countries, especially from Spain to Macedonia. But what do you think are the key points that we need to focus on? Infrastructure, services, mentality, the function of the institution. What do you think that we are missing and then we can learn from the Spanish experience? If you could take one habit or one characteristic from Macedonia, what would that be? And from its people, yes, and everything.
It is true that our two countries are geographically away from each other, that we do not have many historical links, but
maybe also, it's better that way.
Well, I don't know, it's what it is. But actually what I see is that we have a lot of things in common.
Of course.
We have a very Mediterranean temperament. We have a very similar sense of humor, sense of family. And I particularly like the Macedonian meals, in the sense that it's not only about eating, it's a social event. So I like when you are invited with a Macedonian family to have lunch or dinner. You start at 12 and you never know when that lunch is going to end. Maybe it's a combination of lunch and dinner. So you have a lot of things to sell. I just remember a few months ago in a very important Spanish newspaper, there was an article about your country, which the headline was North Macedonia, the hidden gem of the Balkans. And I think this is what it is. Your country is a gem, but it's still unknown to many travelers, especially to the Spanish tourists. So I encourage your government in this strategy of seduction of the Spanish market to bring more Spanish tourists to your country, and also, of course, from my side, to bring more Macedonian tourists to my country. The Ministry of Tourism just last year launched a very interesting campaign, and the title of the campaign, the slogan was, "Think you know about Spain, think again." Because you have a stereotype of what my country represents, and my country is richer than this. So we have different narratives. We have built different destinations which are adapted to the profile of the traveler. So you are always welcome in my country. And what we want is to have, for the Macedonian traveler in my country, a life-changing experience. To go to my country, enjoy the nature, the gastronomy, the cultural sites, the nightlife, the warmth of the Spanish society, and then come back to Skopje or to Bitola or to Veles and think about the good times, to treasure those memories, and especially to come back to my country. Because this is the secret of the success of the Spanish tourism, that the people that come back again and again to visit my country.
In 1 year, let's see how the things is gonna develop. We're gonna have the statistics, and we will see how many Macedonians go to Spain and how many Spaniards come to Macedonia, and we'll see if we're on the right track.
Don't deal, Ellie. Always delighted to be with you in your program, and I can already guarantee a year from now that the outcome of this new stage in the touristic relationship between Spain and North Macedonia will be very satisfactory, that we would have increased by a high percentage the number of Macedonian tourists visiting my country and the number of Spanish tourists visiting yours. So I think this is a story where there is a win-win for both countries, and we want to keep it that way.
I agree. And now it's almost 1 o'clock, and this is the perfect time
for a Macedonian lunch.
Of course.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It was such a pleasure.
Thank you again. Thank you again.